Jakobsen.
Oh, yes. You must be Mr. Vine, the gentleman who's going to look after us.
That's right.
Well, I'm delighted to meet you.
How do you do? Allow me.
Oh, thank you. At a time like this, I feel I have to overcome gravity before gravity overcomes me. What apples were to Isaac Newton, suitcases are to Henrik Jakobsen. Ah, this is my assistant, Miss Lindbergh.
Miss Lindbergh, it'll be a pleasure having you.
Having me where, Mr. Vine?
Your car's waiting, sir. I'll take you through customs.
Thank you.
Mr. Vine? That's right.
We have reliable information that an ambush has been prepared for you along the road. My instructions are to take you back to London by an alternative route. We'll lead the way. Will you follow?
Yes, Inspector.
Thank you.
And so you see, Mr. Vine, the really crucial part of our work was discovering the frequency of gravitational waves. But once we had discovered that, August and I began working on a monitor that would change the wave's frequency so that they repelled rather than attracted. You are a scientist, Mr. Vine?
Yes, in a way.
In which field?
I studied mathematics. Why?
I'm sorry, I assumed it was physiology. You seem to have an obsessive interest in anatomy.
I am interested in certain areas of the subject.
Hand over your gun, Mr. Vine. Keep your hands where we can see them. Your gun, please.
Good morning, Wilson.
Morning, sir.
Sorry to keep you waiting. I had to sort out some pensions for the widows of our unfortunate employees.
That was a bad business on the London road, sir, wasn't it? I'm afraid Charles Vine proved too much of a match for our boys.
Well, we mustn't lose heart, Wilson. Better luck next time. But I do think it's going to be rather dicey taking the professor prisoner.
How long have we got?
Well, we know that Jakobsen will be waiting 3 days until the final results on regrav. My new directions are to go for a direct kill. I want you to be the field commander of the new operation. We can't afford any more bungling.
You can depend on me, sir. Is that all?
I think so. Good morning, Wilson.
Good morning, sir.
And Wilson,
Yes, sir?
never say die, hmm?
There are problems, comrades. There are problems.
Is that an admission of defeat?
I am only trying to be realistic.
Perhaps that might be a matter of opinion.
I must inform you, Comrade Technikov, that the Premier is displeased with the progress of this affair.
Comrade, it takes time. Negotiating the regraph blueprint needs tact and delicacy.
The Premier doesn't see things that way.
The Premier does not have to handle the situation.
Why haven't you made a direct approach to Jacobson now that he's in London?
Did they tell you nothing of the situation over here?
No.
Well, then I think it's time that you two comrades made the acquaintance of a few facts. Jacobson is the prisoner of the British Secret Service. Not only have they a jailer who guards him day and night, but with typical bourgeois cynicism, they even make attempts on his life. They are trying to convince him that they are protecting him against us. These British are absolutely ruthless. They kill many of their own men to strike fear into Jacobson.
Fantastic. Such efficiency.
Now, Jacobson's jailer is Charles Vine. Your department has details on him, I think. Now, my plan needs two specialists. A gynecologist for the operation and a Siamese for Vine.
They'll be in London tomorrow.
Excellent.
Comrade Technikov, you will have to bear the consequences of failure.
How were the arrangements made?
All according to plan, miss. Leave everything to me.
Excuse me, Professor. We have some late mourners.
Allow me to introduce myself, Professor. My name is Pickering. This is Maltby. We are here on behalf of the British government.
I'm honored, gentlemen. On behalf of my dead brother. I'm sure August will be delighted to know that the British government is taking such an interest in this funeral.
We wondered if we could get down to the question of discussing regrab with you.
Perhaps you could talk more comfortably outside.
Oh, yes, of course, outside. Shall we, Professor? My dear Professor, you must realize the urgency of our business. In return for the blueprint, we can arrange to pay you £2 million this evening.
Believe me, after my brother's murder and my own experiences, no one is in a greater hurry than I. But this evening is out of the question.
But why, Professor?
I'm 99% certain that my blueprint will work. But I've got to be 100% certain before I entrust it to anybody. In altering the direction of gravity, I'm dealing with infinitesimal entities. The slightest error in adjusting my gravity monitor could have disastrous consequences.
Yes, we understand that, Professor. Naturally, we would prefer to have the blueprint perfected. In the meantime, your work is so far advanced that I'm sure the British government can find competent scientists to confirm the blueprint for you.
I'm afraid not. I have some figures I want to feed to a computer. And it will take 3 or 4 days to check and analyze the final results. I promise you the blueprint by Friday.
I don't want to be an alarmist, Professor, but just supposing that our enemies really succeed in their attempt on your life. What happens to all your work then? 20 years of work for nothing.
Not at all. if anything should happen to me, I made arrangements with my bank in Switzerland to have a file of information sent to Julia. Oh, Miss Lindbergh, my assistant. We have trained her well. She will be able to help you.
With all due deference to the competence of Miss Lindbergh, if she can work from your notes, then why can't our British scientists do the same?
I'm afraid you won't shift him, gentlemen. Henrik's as stubborn as a mule as far as his work is concerned. If you knew him as I do, you would realize all you can do is to wait and be patient.
Now, if you will excuse me, I'd like to spend the little time that's left with my brother.
I'm sorry your visit seems to be such a waste of time, gentlemen. But you do have Friday as a firm date.
Well, we had hoped for more.
Perhaps we could at least settle the financial details now. It does seem an ideal opportunity. We want a cash transaction and immediate transport to the United States. These are our terms.
Very well. We accept. You will be in safe hands until Friday. It's been a pleasure to do business with you, Miss Lindbergh. Goodbye.
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 Oh. Never mind, Dmitri. Just a little while longer and we'll all have a place in the sun. Gentlemen, I've been reading your reports. Everything seems to be going extremely well, but I want to impress upon you that we're working to a very tight schedule. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have this little get-together to straighten out any difficulties that remain. I understand that Miss Lindbergh has outlined the terms. £2 million in American dollars and transport to a place of refuge in the United States.
Yes, I have explained to the Home Secretary that Miss Lindbergh's terms on behalf of the Professor were most emphatic about having no banking transactions for obvious reasons. The Home Secretary has agreed to cash.
Any other troubles, Walter?
No, I don't think so. Thanks to the good work of your men, the British government is fully convinced that Technikov and Co. are determined to get Jakobson. You've made them realize the urgency. They're positively eager to fork out the cash.
Splendid.
You know, Mr. Vine, this is fascinating. But to answer your previous question, you see, the basic principle of my gravity monitor is really quite simple. It absorbs gravitational waves and then amplifies them into bigger and ever bigger and bigger and bigger curves. You know, peaks and lows, until at their lowest dips, the waves fall below zero. And then we use a rectifier to cut out the oscillation above zero. What are we left with? Negative gravity. That's what we are left with, Mr. Vine. Negative gravity, working in reverse and providing enough power of lift to carry your British Houses of Parliament right up to the moon.
Well, that's a happy thought.
Your program is ready for testing now.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, let's get to work.
You, enjoying yourself?
I am. I have an aptitude for figures.
So have I. Tell me, what does this machine do?
It gives general information, depending on the questions it receives.
I see. Ask it for your telephone number, will you? How long will it take, Professor?
5 minutes.
No, I meant to check the entire set of calculations.
A couple of days. And there's nothing much I can do in the meantime. Oh, I say, Mr. Vine, perhaps we could see the sights of London.
And why not? I still know a few places the police haven't closed down yet.